This pomegranate tree right here is an heirloom pomegranate. It doesn't have a name, but I'm in zone 7A and it's survived for about 4 years here. And its parent, which I found growing in a lady's yard, has been there over 50 years, she says. And I don't know anything about it, but I know it's not a Russian. It's an heirloom American, and it's tolerated below zero conditions. The day that I did get below zero conditions, a few days, I did put bags of leaves on top of it before that, so that kind of doesn't, count. But it does take it. It does take all the regular years exposed. Anyway, the reason I'm making the video is to say I've got it in a lot of shade, but it's only partial shade, so it's doing okay. Unfortunately, I planted it from seeds from that pomegranate's fruit, and I had it next to this French fig from the Celeste. Oh, and here, this is a Japanese beetle that you just saw. Oh, you didn't see it. I've controlled my Japanese beetles very, very well. Well, there's a little spider saying he can control them. But anyway, what I did was I put some milky spore in the ground a couple of years ago, and I haven't had a plague of them since. It's a bacteria that feeds only on the Japanese beetle's grub, and it seems to have spread throughout my soils. It worked. Anyway, here's where I dug up a pomegranate because it was in this deep shade underneath these cherry trees. And these are seedling cherries that I just planted a sour cherry from, and they're not very productive. I get maybe 5 cherries a year off this tree, and the birds get a few, maybe 20 at the most, and they always drop the seeds down and shuck it. And so I have baby cherry trees coming up. But anyway, I had to move that pomegranate that's not there anymore, and I had to remove this pomegranate that's not there anymore because they're covered in all this shade. And I don't want to get rid of the cherry, and I don't want to get rid of this wonderful bee plant called Vitex negundo. So it's the best bee plant in the world. Why would I want to get rid of it? I need all I can get of them for the bees. So I'm going to show you how successful it was. By the way, it's almost time to harvest the elephant garlic. You see these beautiful pom-pom-like flowers? They don't make any seeds because I've never seen any baby garlic sprouting anywhere in 25 years. But I've got them all out in there, and the reason there's not that many of those little pom-pom flowers is because we ate the scapes. Scapes are what they call the baby flower buds. We picked them off and ate them when they were young. So now I'll have to kind of look for the remaining flowers until when it's time to harvest. And the time to harvest is when these start to fade. They'll bloom and look beautiful, and as soon as they don't look so pretty anymore and they're fading, it's time to go ahead and dig them up. And they're very deep. They're at least 6 inches deep. And when they do mature, it'll be a couple more weeks, and the ground will be hard and it'll be hot, and it's quite uncomfortable. But when you dig them up, you just put them in the shade in a big bundle. Just bundle them up. You don't have to tie them or anything. Just stack them up, all facing the same way, and let them dry out. Somewhere away from rain, because you don't want them to mold or anything. The leaves of garlic will mold and mildew. So after they dry out, cut off the stems and roots and bring them in the house and keep them, and try to keep them cool, and they'll stay there cool and dry and last all winter long. About the time when they start sprouting, it's time to plant them in the yard again. And you don't really have to worry about replanting them because they always drop off a few little brown scales which make new garlic, but take a long time to produce big garlic, maybe 3 years. So it's best to replant some of the cloves back. So this is my favorite garlic because it's large and easy to eat and easy to grow, and it's extremely winter hardy. It doesn't even bother worrying about cold weather. So it's a good thing to grow. The other garlics are kind of wimpy. They're hard to grow, they don't take the cold as well, and they don't produce very much. So that's another thing. This is my great big 30-foot tall mulberry tree. They told me when they gave it to me that it was an Illinois everbearing, and you can tell that it's a red mulberry type, not a full blood, because my full blood red mulberries are sickly that are endemic to this area. So this one will probably replace it. It's much more productive and healthy for the animals. Doesn't get the root bark rot Anyway, it's huge, and unfortunately the big mulberries are always too big and tall to actually reach. Here's how big they are. I'll pull this one down. I can actually reach one. It's not fully ripe, but there it is. Pretty good sized mulberry. Don't know how to gauge it. But you see they're not all that productive. And they only last a couple of weeks, and then they're gone for the rest of the year. No more fruit. So much for ever-bearing. I don't know why they call it that, because it's not an ever-bearing. That over there is my yellow groove bamboo forest, and it is a beauty. The horses use it for a barn and escape horseflies and stuff, and it's very cool in there. And it's growing in an area that used to be barren because the land flooded really bad there and washed away all the dirt and soil, and there wasn't any plant that could hold it. But this bamboo did, and it's doing very well, and the horses eat it in the winter, and the deer eat it in the winter, and the goats eat it in the winter, and probably other kinds of animals, of course. And of course people eat the shoots. In the springtime, the bamboo starts to grow for a couple of months, and you can eat the shoots in the first few days when it comes up out of the ground, and you just simply boil them or steam them, and that's all. Or you can ferment them with a little salt, brine ferment, or another way I've heard. I think most people in Asia don't even brine ferment them, they just plain ferment them. Anyway, that's all that. The reason I'm stopping and starting the video and haven't got to the point about the pomegranates is because I'm walking out here. Oh look, gotta go to the pomegranate. There's a baby deer. I don't want to get too close. Don't want to wake it up. Hi baby deer. I'm about 10 feet away. I won't get any closer. Hello baby deer. The deer, oh no, I woke it up. Oh shit. Oh, I'm so sorry. I woke it up. Oh well, it might be alright. I've woke it up a lot of times. Anyway, this is the pomegranates. I planted them yesterday, and as you can see, their wilt is over with. They look really good. I planted both of them and got them in the sun. They're barely wilted today, so they're recovering. So I planted them on a cloudy day, and it worked out great. So you can transplant pomegranates while they're actively growing in the summer. Just be careful with them. Keep them moist, and don't hurt the root system, and hopefully do it on a cloudy day. I guess that's all. My battery's dead.